Hello YouTube, and welcome once again to another lesson on astral projection. Last week's video we could find ourselves flying up in the skies and going in through those clouds. The purpose of that video was sort of to get us in the mode or in the mood for astral projecting. That was the purpose of the video. Last week's video was more of an abstract way of getting us into the mode of doing it. This week's video, we're actually going to try to talk a little bit about theory, about what is actually involved in astral projecting. If you've seen our videos, you've been seeing that we are trying to push awareness and astral projection. In the last two videos, we actually gave some tips on how to develop our awareness. So we're trying to see the importance of awareness and astral projection. But before we go on, we'd like to say that this is yet another theory, so to speak, on what astral projection actually is. So we would like you to understand that what we are doing here, or the purpose of what we're doing here, is not to change anyone's religion or even to change anyone's point of view. What we're trying to do is to help you achieve an out-of-body experience or astral projection as soon as possible, if that is what you so desire. This is our purpose. This is what we are trying to achieve. Now, the theories that we're going to see now have come from actual personal experience and study. More personal experience than study. Why are we saying this? Because we don't want to come off again as just someone or just someone who is actually just repeating what we have read in books. We would rather share with everyone what we have actually been experiencing. We also believe that this is in no way, shape, or form the final idea on astral projection. And this is just one idea from one person. That's all it is. So we would like to understand that everyone is entitled to their opinion. Everyone is entitled to their own proper experience. With that being said, what we are exposing here is just designed to help you have an out-of-body experience. So, also one more last thing is that we're not going to look at this from a scientific point of view. There's a lot of material out there on astral projection from a scientific point of view, and you're more than welcome to look at that. What we're trying to do here is try to look at astral projection from an esoteric point of view. What does this mean? The word esoteric just means the study of something internal in a mystical sense. So this would include dreams, this would include any kind of visions or astral projection type experiences, and many more things too. Meditation, things like that. An exoteric would be the study of something external. For example, anything scientific that requires observation would be considered an exoteric practice. So this is an esoteric view, in other words. We would also want to start here with this consciousness. If you remember in the last lessons, we gave these exercises where we would be breathing, inhaling, and then exhaling. We were saying that in that middle point between the inhaling and the exhaling, that's what we wanted to focus on. We also had the exercise, of the person actually being asked some questions. If we would ask ourselves, for example, what are we? Where are we? Where are we? If we keep asking ourselves those questions, many thoughts would come up, and we were saying that all those thoughts, that's not really us. That what is us is that in between space. If you have not watched the previous videos, I would suggest that you watch lesson 1 and 2, because that's where we explain that, so that you can actually understand this video a little bit better. So now, what we're trying to say is that consciousness, this I know that you've been looking at this diagram, and now we're actually going to explain it. What we're trying to say is that point in between thoughts, or in between breaths, what we like to call that for now, for our purposes, is consciousness. Now, consciousness is constantly producing certain things. The first thing that we want to look at is thought forms. A thought form can be anything from, for example, wanting to pay your bill. You're thinking that you're having to pay your bill. Can be anything that you might be afraid of. Can be anything that you might like. absolutely anything that you are thinking is considered a thought form. Now, a manifestation of consciousness has more to do with virtues. Virtues, for example, love, compassion, generosity, patience, all these things are considered virtues, and they're kind of abstract. When consciousness manifests itself through these virtues, this is what a manifestation is. So, for example, if you decide to help someone to mow their lawn because they're sick or something, that would be a manifestation of compassion. So that's what you actually were, compassion in that moment, and that actually came from consciousness. So another thing that consciousness also has is awareness or self-awareness. Now this is very interesting because there is the English language actually has this word awareness, and the Spanish language, which we also dictate these lessons in Spanish, doesn't have one. So we have to come up with another description about what awareness is. But English, we're very fortunate to have this word. So what we're trying to say here with self-awareness is that self-awareness usually comes up when we're human. Now, some animals do show self-awareness. For some monkeys, for example, when you put them in front of a mirror, are actually able to realize that they're looking at themselves. This is what we call self-awareness. But humans, we do not need a mirror to realize that we are actually here. We could actually say, I'm here, this is what I am, I'm right here. You have that feeling of knowing, of a certain knowingness that you actually exist. This is what self-awareness is. Now, this actually develops also from consciousness. So what does self-awareness do? Self-awareness can actually perceive or be aware of consciousness. When we're doing those exercises, the inhaling and the exhaling, and all those questions that we were saying, who am I, where am I, what am I doing? What we're doing is trying to be aware of our own consciousness. This is what we're trying to do. Consciousness also develops perceptions. So through our bodies, we have the five senses, right? We have the five senses, and we're able to perceive. We can perceive through an awareness also. Our awareness grabs a hold, so to speak, of our perception, and we become aware of the color red, we become aware of sounds, we become aware of smells, we become aware of absolutely anything through our five senses. So this is what consciousness is actually doing. So to review, one of the things that consciousness does is thoughts. So a thought might spring here, another thought might spring over here. I'm afraid of this, I'm happy for this, I'm not so happy about this. Ooh, I need to go pay my bill. School starts tomorrow. Those are actually thought forms. Manifestations have to do with virtues, for example, love, compassion, everything like that. Self-awareness is that moment when we realize that we are actually here, that we actually exist. This is what self-awareness is. And through that, through self-awareness, we can perceive through the five senses. Now, all this is occurring here in the physical realm. I know I wrote there astral realm, but we're going to get to that in a second. But all this is occurring right now as we speak here in the physical realm. It can happen at any moment right here in the physical. There's nothing, so to speak, mystical about it, even though it is mystical, but there's nothing extraordinary about it. It's actually happening right now. But our goal is that this entire process that's very natural would happen to us also in the astral realm. In the astral realm, what happens is we are more dominated by thought forms. Now, thought forms is what we're going to see next week. We're going to really go into in depth into what thought forms are. But right now, we understood what they were. But so our goal is that we have this wakefulness or this self-awareness in the astral realm. Now, so if we can imagine what would happen if in the astral realm we would actually become self-aware to this level, just like we are here. Well, we would be able to visit any place that we want. We would be able to go anywhere. We'd be able to see anything. For example, we could see loved ones who have passed away. We could actually do that. We could actually go visit times that have long been gone. For example, Egyptian times. We could actually visit all kinds of different characters and people that have long passed away. Now, this might seem a little bit fantastic, or might seem like a little fantasy to some of us, but we have to understand that a lot of people who are geniuses have actually mentioned, for example, Thomas Edison has actually mentioned that he actually would try to go into that state in between sleep and wakefulness, and that he would have visions, or he would actually have some astral experiences, and that's where he got all his inventions from. So this is something to think about. So for today, what we want to emphasize on is self-awareness. So we should keep on practicing our little tips that we gave last week and that we gave the week before. Now, instead of another tip of the day for today, what we're going to do is we're going to answer two questions that we saw in the comments. The first question was, how long would it take us to have an astral or out-of-body experience if we follow these steps? If we follow these steps, it can take anywhere from 1 day to 3 months or 6 months. I really don't know. It's really up to the person. I don't think it should take that long. Although I have heard of people that really try hard and they're not able to have an experience. Usually the reason behind that has to do with thought forms. That's why next week we're going to look at thought forms and how they can actually block not only out-of-body experiences, but all this else over here. So how long would it take? I would say if we practice awareness, it wouldn't take us that long at all. The other question that we had was, someone was asking us also in the comments, was if all this is just in our heads, if an astral travel or if an out-of-body experience is just in our heads, or if it's actually real. We're going to leave that for you to answer on your own. And the reason that we do that is because we don't want to come off as someone that is just telling you how things are, and this is the way you should believe, and this is the way you should think, and this is what it is. What we're trying to do here is just to give you an overview and the tools so that you yourself can actually have an out-of-body experience, and then you can decide for yourself what it actually is. So this is what we would like to do, and this has been the lesson for today. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you have any more questions, please feel free to put them in the comment box. And also, do not forget to subscribe and to hit that like button. If you are enjoying these videos, please subscribe and please hit like, because it helps us a ton so that we will be able to continue with these videos. Thank you very much.